it is one of the things that I think will be useful and good for us.
Yeah, maybe as far as games go, maybe I play the wrong kind of games generally, but this is an unusually mature community compared to what I normally get told to me on League of Legends.
Well, when you're comparing it to League of Legends.
Yeah.
Can we have entertainment systems?
That's immature even for teenagers.
Didn't he say no to that?
No,
So,
from here is for people who are very genuinely interested in bringing other people into
Yeah.
what they are excited
And
about.
evangelizing it, really.
Yeah.
So, but League of Legends, I mean, is League of Legends, you think, worse than like Call of Duty? Chat? Because that's pretty bad.
Similar level.
Basically. If you're new, yes, it's a lot worse.
Well, this linguistics.
What are you doing? Look at that guy.
And I'll say in Call of Duty, I tend to be the most immature one.
I'll probably don't moderate.
It'd be cool if they did a
well, the thing
like,
that puts
remember-
League above Call of Duty is that there's no voice chat in League,
Yeah.
so you don't have to deal with the.
child.
Mom, give me a hot pocket. Yeah, exactly.
Hot pocket, Mom. Where's my chocolate milk?
I said chocolate milk, Mom.
Chocolate milk. All right, then another question. Was aside from fans that don't suck, have any other voice talent been sourced for the game yet? Nathan Fillion keeps popping up over and over again, but any news on voice talent?
No, to be honest with you, we haven't really done any focusing on the actual casting side of things on that because we need to have our final script before we really do that. It's not actually going to be that difficult to have some interesting and decent voice talent, so we'll have some good names, and I'll sort of use. I have 10 years making films at a pretty high level, so that I have good access as far as that goes. So I'm not concerned about it. But there's not much point having it's not that much point having a discussion about doing a voice role without knowing the character they're going to play and knowing how many days you need them in the recording booth, or if they're doing performance capture and stuff like that. So that's still a little bit off, but we'll probably be there in a few months, 2, 3, 4 months time. What happened?
You reached our
Apparently, we're really sure.
Turn off the video, then turn it back
It's
on.
next to the microphone.
Yeah, hit
click
that.
There we go.
There we are. We're back.
Success.
Welcome back.
So who's that? So is
I don't know where.
Well, he was just in chat again. I know Eric. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
Wingman's out.
Oh yeah.
And then the web maker crashed on his desk.
The web Zane, the maker.
Well, I'm trying to think of
Web
the
wizard.
architect of the Matrix. The architect. And Dr. Hawk is hidden under a desk somewhere. Legante is in a car somewhere.
He's
Probably getting
He's sleeping in his 300i.
attacked by some homeless people. You never know. It's pretty exciting. Oh, and then the hazy guy. Skeleton left earlier too, to get some sleep.
I'm glad we have fans dedicated enough to take over for our staff when it falls.
We're going to play poker.
Now the fans are really holding it up here. I mean, you guys are,
Yeah, it just occurred to me there's no cloud nutrition employees in here.
basically, yeah, Kitchener, you're kicking Peter's ass. we may just change. Won't be Wingman's hangar anymore.
New president of production, in shadow.
Hire us. We may not have skills, but we can stay up all day.
Let's do this.
We
Yeah,
don't
no,
Fine.
And we're team players.
So
Yeah,
another
right?
another question
Waffles.
from chat. Do we have any other stretch goals past the ones we've already the 11, 12, 13 that we did?
no, we've actually got a lot of stretch goals. But, it's just the last time we did one of these things, we were totally unprepared. This time, I think Ben went the other way. I mean, he basically had stretch goals going all the way from 100,000 to 2.3 million. In the session, which
I'll have some cake.
was
yeah.
up,
I'll have some
I mean,
cake.
maybe, but yeah. I don't think that's happening.
Gaming.
Take a half slice like that.
How about this guy? Happy?
No, tiny. I was just leave it on the plate.
I'll finish it for you. Okay, good.
So we've basically got
Sounds like a
the
deal.
various episodes that were stretch goals, system unlocked, and then occasional things like the Starfarer. Look at the Caterpillar. That's a big one. So I will do. Caterpillar was scheduled for $1 million, but it'd be tonight. So we get to 11,600,000. Then we'll show the Caterpillar. So we're about 80,000 away from that.
We're doing caterpillar.
Can the caterpillar turn into a butterfly?
It has to spin a space cocoon first. Oh, dude, I had a
It's
question
made out of
totally
waffles and
lost it.
syrup.
Goes from a caterpillar to a destroyer.
Oh man!
It's a
Chris?
butterfly.
Comes out, it's just a beast.
I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I was kind of eyeing that way too.
So we know we can transfer ships between characters, but if do ships carry any stigma with them? If I send if I use a ship for piracy, and then I pay the fees and transfer it to another character, do any of the past deeds of that ship go along with it, or is it just considered a clean ship when it goes to the other character?
Okay, so again, I was just disconcerted by I think this tea that tastes like coffee to me.
If you have a ship and you commit criminal acts in it, and then you transfer that ship to another character, do any of the past deeds of that ship go along with it?
No, it's not really tied to the ship. It's tied to your character.
I have an interesting question that actually relates to that. Earlier on in the stream, we talked about how you can have a system between the employer and a bounty hunter where you can kind of rate each other the idea of someone like, yep.
Yep, totally.
In EVE Online, there's a really bizarre relationship that can involve between pirates in a certain area and the people who go through, in which the trust that after you pay up, that they're not just going to LOL blow you up anyways, starts to develop between the two, where you can rely on the fact that this person, if you fall through with their demands, they're not just going to grief you.
Right.
Which can turn, of course, to you more readily getting stuff, and even some really strange relationships where your mark might feed you information in exchange for getting off a little bit lighter. I think there might be some sort of a way where a pirate from the victim might be able to get this person pirated
so
me.
bad.
This person pirated me. He took my stuff, but he honored his agreement after the fact. So if you give him loot, you're probably going to walk out of there okay.
He's a cruel man, but fair.
I know it sounds weird.
Doesn't that sound like the Stockholm syndrome right there?
It's a little Stockholm
He's
syndrome.
all right. I mean, he held me up at gunpoint, but you know what?
Or
Respect,
even,
man.
or even
It could have been a
worse.
lot worse.
Now that I've held you up at gunpoint, hold on for 2 seconds, fill out the survey, tell me how you felt about the experience. But no, it's
Was I
it's
courteous
important.
while I pointed that gun in your face?
Right.
It's like Little John making you pay across the road.
Right, because I mean, people have different definitions of piracy, but it is important to somebody who does this for a living that maybe they can establish this sort of thing. And if the person lies, then screw it. Look, this person blew me up, then follow suit.
See, I would do the long con in that case, and that seems like you develop that huge trust, and then when they bring something through really valuable, that's when you.
Oh yeah, there's a whole psychology behind scamming.
$50,000 worth of game credits. Bye.
Yeah, long cons are interesting, but I don't know. Let it mold over in the pirate. These are the sort of relationships that do evolve as diverse as they sound.
People stop asking stupid questions. So another
from Kim Shadow.
another question for Chris.
It'll be like you get the Taiwan survey, and like after you've left the nav point, you get a phone call. It'll be like, "Hi, we'd like to do a survey. How was your experience?" on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the civility of the pirate? Did he respect you?
Did he use any derogatory language?
Yeah.
You have words to use it.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you be to recommend this pirate?
This space lane to another trader.
Have a bumper sticker on the back. This number over pirating you.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the Rex in the tray.
Oh, yeah, that would be
These things that I've said that I've been
just
like,
referencing the content.
Okay, I was just curious because they're like,
That's-
why did you have to destroy the ship in Wing Commander 3? It's like, because it was an awesome game. Deal with it.
That's exactly why.
Deal with it.
So,
part of my challenge.
Chris, here's another question from chat. Is there any movie or game that you've seen that you wished you could have been a part of?
Okay, so say that again. Any?
If there has there been a movie or a game that you've seen and wished you could have been a part of?
Okay, so movie-wise, when I was young, my fantasy was to make Lord of the Rings, and I always figured it was like way too expensive. But if I ever like managed to inherit $100 million, this was in like the early '80s, right? So I was like, oh, I make Lord of the Rings. So that would be on the film side because I think the actual Lord of the Rings films are great. The Hobbit not so great, but the actual Lord of the Rings ones are great. And then on the game side, I mean, I have to say that I really like the Naughty Dog. The Last of Us is brilliant. I mean, I've sort of put it to a side because I don't want to have other things to do, obviously. That and what they did with the Uncharted series, I think, like in terms of sort of kind of cinematic narrative in a video game, I think they've been doing the best stuff recently. But there's a bunch of other stuff I like. I mean, I love Demon's Souls, which I talk a lot about just because I like the old school hardcore. It's not necessarily easy all the time. And then Battlefield, I think, is like great, especially like Battlefield, like Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, all was pretty spectacular in terms of the tech and kind of the gameplay.
Yeah. My spam.
Oh, yeah.
Another kind of pseudo amalgamation of questions from chat. Will we have guild, squadron, clan run factories or other assets that are property of the corporation or anything like that?
Didn't we just have this question? We
had it. This is the
Yeah.
Did we get that one earlier?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, we weren't in here.
Oh, I wasn't
It's
here.
been answered.
Oh.
multiple times.
Sorry.
Never mind.
asked, and I said yes. Someone else asked that before. I said yes.
It's kind of
French
slack.
guy asked me. That was yes.
Dude, I was getting drunk in the other room.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's not your
Oh.
fault. It's their fault for not paying
Come
attention.
on, chat
Chat
roll.
roll.
Come on.
Just have a giant list of questions like, nope, marked off, nope, marked off.
next time.
There are a lot of rooms here where cool stuff is happening. We have an excuse not
Yeah,
to.
okay. Well, I think it's better if that was
Essence is correct.
piling on, going.
Can we be best friends?
Be the rest of the friend.
Guy.
Someone wants to be best friends? I'll be best friends.
No, he wants to be best friends with Chris.
Oh.
Oh, no one
Okay,
is impersonated.
The sleep is for the
Some people want to use the Starfarer for CNC. I don't know why.
Every time I hear CNC, I think Command and Conquer.
I think Music Factory.
I think close combat.
This CNC
Close combat. Now that's a
Get you
pretty
pick
game,
games.
man.
Yeah,
Bridge Too Far was the best out of them.
Close combat.
yeah.
That must be really old because I know what you're
Well,
talking
it's not like super old, but I mean, it's definitely been a minute.
Late night.
So,
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I think this question's probably been answered before, but people keep asking it. If you have multiple packages in your account that include a ship and a game, is there a way to separate the game and the ship
Melted.
aside from melting?
So I think this was a bit of a debate. So we haven't 100% made a proper decision, but I'm inclined to say that you need a game package to have a character in the game. So if you've got like 4 packages, that will allow you to have up to 4 characters. You don't need to play 4 characters, but if you wanted to have 4 characters, you would literally have to have 4 packages. And so theoretically, you could maybe take some of the assets and all give them to one of your characters, and the other one has a more stripped down thing. But I don't really see the point of starting a game where you don't have a ship. I mean, you kind of need a ship, and you need a bit of money in your pocket to actually do anything in the game. So it seems to me if you just like gifted someone a game without the ship and without money, there's not much you could do.
Isn't that what the game after release comes with, though?
What do you mean?
So, I mean, what does the game come with if you buy a box copy after its release? Is it Does it come with an Aurora?
Probably not going to be selling box, but basically you get a ship, you get some credits, and the game basically is you need all those three things to play. So if I like bought a bunch of games and like I just basically stripped everything out of them, which I think there's a few number of people that are doing that, and I just said, here's the game. Like, what are you going to do?
I think he means like in 3 years when I go to Best Buy and I pick up a copy of Star Citizen, I install it, fire it
It
up.
starts with the ship. You got to have cash. Yeah, I mean, basically the minimum to actually play the game is you got to have a ship and you got to have a little bit of cash in your pocket because you got to at least pay for, whatever landing fees, takeoff. Not a lot, but you need to buy some goods to start it. You need basically to be staked. So you need the ship. You need a ship and a little bit of money.
All right, you guys can correct me. For some reason, I thought the common conceit was that you start with nothing and then you either take out a loan or you do the Squadron 42 campaign or you try to do work on the back of an NPC ship or something like that until you get the money together to pick up that first Aurora.
Well, no, the way it would work is if you just bought the base game, you would essentially, you could do the Squadron 42 campaign and muster out, and maybe that would give you a bonus going out, but you could also just shortcut through that and say, I don't want to do the military, and you would be starting with an Aurora and a little bit of money in your pocket, i.e., whatever, you inherited it, your uncle gave it to you, whatever, that kind of thing. So it's kind of the same as Privateer, when you started with like a little Tarsus.
Or your Starfleet or...
Right.
But that doesn't. But either way, do you need a ship? I guess to start out with, though. I mean, if you're getting money out of Squadron 42 and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, you need to buy something. Yeah, absolutely. And you're not really going to you're not even given enough money to buy a ship. So you're basically going to start with like a beta, and then you'll work your way up playing it, which is basically the way Freelancer and the way Privateer work. No, I think this has only came into about where like there's a bunch of people that have got like 30 pledges or 40 pledges, and they want to just basically collect all the ships and all the money, and then they've got these essentially what they view as game packages, and so they want to give them to people. But I'm like, I'm not sure how useful that is if you're hanging out on a landing pad and there's like you can't get into a ship and you don't have any money. It's like you'll be like, oh yeah, it's nice environment in 3D. I'll just hang out here forever until.
I
think that was I think that was the confusion. I think a lot of people were expecting the Aurora not to come with the game that you bought after release.
Well, actually, I'm curious now that we've been talking about all this stuff. Like,
the smallest package you can get is the Aurora package, and that's your base package. So every like all the package of the game. So all that happens is if you're backing for more money, what we're doing is we're giving you a better ship or a bigger ship. Better ship's probably the wrong way to say it because they just have different functions, and you're getting more money. But essentially, a game consists of a ship and some money, and I guess the client. But I mean, you sort of need all three of those things.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was I think that's a lot of the confusion.
I kind of had a question on Squadron 42. Like, as you work through it, is there a way that like you're slowly building a background for your character for when you get out into Star Citizen, like building reputation maybe based on what decisions you make during the game, or?
Absolutely. So if you actually play Squadron 42, that will give you bonuses of going into Star. So you'll get some reputation if you do well. Maybe there'll be some help available to you from sort of the cadre of ex-Squadron 42 members that you wouldn't get if you just decided you didn't want to do the single-player campaign and just go into the sandbox world directly.
Nice.
When you finish Squadron 42, since it's like a military-style campaign and, it's your service in the military, would there, like you said, there would be some credits. Would that be like a pension, like every day or so in the game or week or so in the game you would get like pension?
I wasn't really thinking that. What I was thinking is you would sort of muster out with, whatever. I don't know. There was, I can't remember. Maybe World War II. There was something when like you left as a GI, they gave you
signing bonus.
They gave you a check and
they gave you
a chicken or something.
Was it a check? There was something in there, but basically, yeah. You basically, as you muster out, you get you get like some cash in your pocket that you wouldn't necessarily get the other way around.
Or nowadays, you'll get a pension. It'll take 4 years for the VA to process it. So.
Put in for unemployment. Give me that money.
Another question from the chat. So, character death will have wear and tear on your body. Is there any other way to Is there any other thing that would cause wear and tear on your body? Like if you took hull damage or anything like that, or radiation or anything like that?
Smoking?
Can you eat a smoking game and get lung cancer?
No, I mean I wouldn't say I wouldn't. I would.
Lung cancer.
Tearing your body is mostly revolved around kind of deaths in space. So like not hull damage, not radiation. I haven't made my mind up whether like you would have some kind of like aging or lifespan. That's probably like too sort of subtle. The likelihoods you're probably gonna
Add wrinkles to your character.
bug fighting before you're gonna die of old age.
I feel like if an issue to challenge that my character
Yeah,
lasts
pattern
40
on this.
years, just say like, hey, my dude doesn't age. What gives?
I absolutely believe there will be people that will deliberately play to see how long they can preserve their character, and then there will be people who will play to see how much they can achieve with their character before they pass away. I mean, that will all be kind of ways that you can rate your ability. And then there will be people that will be all dedicated to having their family line be like a whole group of overachievers. This one killed this person, this one did this one discovered this jump point.
And you know there's going to be somebody that's going to deliberately kill themselves a few times with a sweet robot arm.
Yeah.
This sweet Android arm, yo, it's sweet. One arm wrestle.
Right out the airlock at first.
No, I mean, I do want to be able to go in a bar and I want to be able to see like scars and stuff and say, yeah, that guy's been in a few battles.
That guy's tore up.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I forgot my question. Worst. And
There's another question. Can we get? Is there any kind of mods that we can get electively without the damage that will give us any other kind of benefits to the characters?
What do you mean by mods?
Prosthetics?
Fake, yeah, prosthetics.
Aesthetic.
Like if you purposely wanted to lose an arm to get like a cyborg arm?
I
Yeah.
would give an arm and a leg to have robot limbs.
I don't particularly feel that you're going to be getting an advantage in flying because you've got a cybernetic arm versus a real arm.
Or cybernetic eye, I guess, would be more appropriate for the flying.
Yeah, but you're only going to have a HUD that'll be like the Iron Man one. I don't think you're going to get an advantage in the cybernetic eye either. So there isn't any current plans for that.
Shine it.
Cybernetic jaw.
I'm about to jump back to Squadron 42 just for a second. Based off my military experience, like when we finished basic and we went to advanced individual training where we learned to fly our planes, based on our position in the class and how well we did, we got selected for different aircraft. That's how I ended up being a Predator operator. And I was just curious if there's going to be any point where, obviously, like in the videos, it's always the Hornet, but is there like any chance of ending up in the Gladiator or something like that, or like based on how you do, or are we just going to be Hornet pilots right off the bat?
No, definitely. I mean, it'll be like Wing Commander. The same thing happened in Wing Commander. It sort of depended on how you were flying, how you'd place, what ships you would fly. So, like, I can't remember in Wing 3, but there was, you would get to fly the sort of test aircraft if you were doing well on the winning path. So, no, that'll definitely be in. You're going to fly multiple ships. You're going to start out in the Avenger, and then you'll graduate to different ships.
Sweet. Thanks. That's really cool. Awesome.
So this might have already been covered, but with regards to electronic warfare, what kind of range what kind of weapons would we see? Stuff like on things like that. Would we see ability to disrupt other players' comms and such?
Yeah, you'll definitely be able to jam comms, gobble and disrupt, spoof your ID.
Raspberry jelly?
What's that?
It's very jelly.
With raspberry jelly?
Space.
Not necessarily with raspberry jelly, but it's right.
Star!
Hey, Chris, I have a question. Squadron 42, is that the Marines or is it the Navy?
Not the Navy, right?
If it's the Navy, what are the Marine pilots doing, vice versa?
I think in this world, really, it's your naval pilot. There isn't a Marine pilot. So the Marines are essentially what the Marines used to be in the days of old, which is sort of the
Ground pounder?
yeah. I mean, they're essentially the sort of naval soldiers that will be on ship to ship combat and defending the ship.
Okay.
I think Grunts.
The Marines, and there will be some sort of our game, not necessarily, but they would also be involved in some level of sort of like, an assault, infantry assault. But generally, the air arm of the Navy, it's not like the Marines have not like in the current. Like, think of them closer to, I think the Royal Navy Marines is maybe a better model than the U.S. Marines, because I don't think the Royal Navy Marines fly their own craft. I think they're the dudes with the.
And your universe will be true to their name: Marines, my ass rides, and Navy equipment.
Yes. Bless your heart for knowing that.
I just can't wait until we're trying to defend the Bengal and like a Marine shoots like a fuel line and the whole thing's just like.
I'm ready to do that. Actually, I have a quick question about Squadron 42 and modding. In Freelancer and games where we've had modding capabilities, we've been able to impact existing maps and make our own, but it's almost always been on the multiplayer side. Trying to create any sort of single-player campaign has always been way out of our reach, technically. I know there's a lot of role players. I know that we have a lot of talented writers. How accessible do you think really basic stuff like setting up a mission, not talking about motion capture, really
No, I think
detailing
you'll have an
NPCs?
ability to do that with what we're doing versus what you had to do at Freelancer, because again, it's in the CryEngine and the sandbox already handles a lot of that, so you should be able to do that.
So you think with the
I think you
modding
can already kind of do some of that stuff if you were modding Crisis 2 or Crisis 3.
So you think that kind of level of modding is sort of single-player story, if they want to put it on the forums for download, is the sort of thing that a Star Citizen community member might be able to do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you look at what you could do in the CryEngine or like look at Crisis 2 and what you could do on the modding like that, those same sort of things will be available, but obviously it's more specifically for Star Citizen on the modding side. We're not reinventing the wheel. I mean, we build like some of the story stuff all that way inside the editor too. So there's no reason to sort of disable it.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
So another question from chat. In a previous stretch goal that we had passed during the original campaign, we had a cruiser mentioned, and they want to know how big that is compared to destroyer in the 13 million goal, and
the cruiser is going to be bigger than the destroyer and smaller than the Bengal carrier.
When will we see information on the cruiser?
Not in the next month or two, but that'll be one of the ships that we're designing. We just haven't started the design on it. So we've been sort of focusing more on the player ships, that we've announced basically the 14 ships, so we've got to get done. So you can see them in the hangar. Not necessarily that you're going to get to see all the ships right now in the hangar, because a few of them are still works in progress. But that's what we've been sort of focusing, and less on sort of some of the additional stuff like like other big cap ships or whatever. Was that answer so profound that you guys just suddenly
we're all just like,
we're just dumbfounded.
I'm just trying to wrap my headache brain around chat. It's just breaking me.
Well, there's a lot of repeats going on, and we're trying to mitigate.
People are spamming questions.
And then it's so.
All right, guys,
much
we've already
coming in at
talked about the
once.
multiple account things. You're not going to get more out of that.
Guys, be merciful. Kin Shadow is just a man.
I'm not a man. What are you talking
He's a
about?
robot.
I am a super being.
And plus, if you're asking the same question over and over, and we haven't brought it up to him, there's probably a reason. No offense, dudes.
In Bringer, you should ask Rob that question. That was his thread. I don't know. You might actually be talking to Rob. I don't know. There's probably another stream going on.
Oh yeah, he is monitoring chat roll too.
Just address that to Rob.
Yeah, are there player control factories? I haven't really used them.
Hey, by the way, is this coffee or something?
Yes, Kin Shadow is a demigod.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Man, all this time I thought you were like an android.
I think it's just
Does alcohol improve Mr. Roberts' skills?
It's hazelnut.
At least learn how to spell alcohol, man. Alchul?
Alchul.
Yeah, the true lost for the win.
Alchul. Lord of the Damned.
I think you were about to say Lord of the Dance. Like you got some river dancing going
that
on
works
here.
too. I'll sure Lord of the Dance. Yes.
Oh man.
The other question. So during combat on larger ships, what can we expect in terms of environmental effects, like flashing lights or debris or smoke or anything